Okay, so yes, my name is Kim Nelson, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am and my company, so you have some idea of what my experience is in the packaging industry. And then I'll switch hats and sort of speak from my role with AICC as Overseas Director. And then I'll turn it over to Joe to talk about how the association, AICC, has impacted his company as well. So Royal Containers is my company. It started in 1980 by my father. And interesting to know, as a second-generation owner in North America, and when we're speaking today about North America, we're covering US and Canada, not Mexico, although they are a part of North America, of course. In North America, 61% of all corrugated converting plants are in second generation right now. So I don't know, that might be similar here or not so similar as in the UK. So we started the company, and of course it's built on, it's been growing consistently, but we try to hold on to the values, and that's what's most important to the success of our company, Royal Containers. The other part of that is relationships, building relationships with our customers, our suppliers, of course, but especially our employees. We take the relationships to another level, and that's why we focus on building partnerships. Here's just a look at one of our converting facilities. We are in, you wouldn't know Brampton, but this is Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And here we have a 10,000 square meter plant, which serves that market. It's a very small geographical area we refer to as the GTA. The population's about 10 million, and from point to point, it's only about 250 kilometers. So we're able to sell to a very small area. We own and operate all of our trucks and trailers, and it makes distribution fairly easy. It also allows us to operate 24 hours, 6 days a week, and run just in time. So we have no inventory whatsoever. Finished goods are put on trucks and they're delivered to the customer. In this facility here, we convert about 3.8 million square meters per month. I hope I got my conversion correct. So in terms of sales, so in terms of size, so you can get an idea of the relative to your own. We are now about 75 million in sales of the 2 converting plants. And we have grown not only organically, but also through acquisition. Acquisition is one of our strategic plans for growth. Consolidation in our industry is a constant. So acquisition's a big part. This picture is an acquisition we did where we kept, maintained the entire company. So we had another location added to Royal Containers. In combination, so combined, we're employing about 400 or 250 employees at the converting level. Our recent acquisition was one where we were able to synergize by closing the facility down and bringing all of the sales and people into our own facility. So another part of our strategic plan, or our business model that we've had since the early 80s really, was of vertical integration. And so in terms of our corrugator, we have 2 corrugators, and this was a result of a sheet feeder operation. So back in 1980, there were 10 sheet plants that went together and bought a corrugator. That was in 1984. Today, I'm the only independent left owning the corrugator. So we have 2 98-inch and 110-inch. And what we do is the 98-inch sort of serves our specialty market, so that's where we're running coated, white top, EB flute, combinations like that. Our sales at Tencor are reaching 200 million in sales annually, so that's the size of Tencor. That is what, so we buy, of course, 100% of our material comes from Tencor to our 2 converting operations. The other part of that, to further vertically integrate, is our strategic decisions in the past to partner and become equity owners of paper mills. So we had one earlier in the early 1990s, but today we have an interest in Greenpack. Greenpack is a 100% recycled paper mill. It's a state-of-the-art mill. It's only been in operation for about 3 years. I know Joe's going to talk a little bit more about these strategic investments. And, but you can see at the bottom, the paper mill is just a fantastic operation. And so we have a paper commitment from the mill on behalf of Tencor, and that is how we look at our business model in those terms. And this diagram sort of shows not just the business model, but also our commitment to sustainability, because we really are running a totally closed loop system where, you know, starting with the mill to Tencor converting to the consumer, and then, of course, all of our DLK and OCC that we collect goes to the paper mill. So speaking of the sustainability part of that, there are a lot of, I would say, as I've traveled around the world, a lot of myths when it comes to sustainability in Canada. And the reason I say that is that 42% of Canada is covered by forests. The interesting fact of that is 30% of those forests make up the world's forest. So we have a lot of forest. 1,300 trees are replanted in Canada every single minute. So there's not a minute that goes by in a day that 1,300 trees aren't planted. So we have quite a commitment to our natural resource. One of the myths I like to talk about is the #1 reason for deforestation in Canada is actually insects, or the beetle. That is the #1 source of deforestation. So a lot of myths. Another part is 100% of our forests are certified by third party. I did hear in the panel today they were referring to FSC, Forestry Steward Council, and the SFI. So 100% of our forests are certified. In addition, in Canada in packaging, over 90% of packaging converted in Canada actually comes from recycled paper mills. So our container board is recycled. So something else about Royal Containers is our social media. We're quite keen on using social media. We have for a couple of years now. So of course, you know, utilizing Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And why do we do this? You know, because we do quite a bit of blogging, but we do this to communicate to our customers and to communicate to employees, suppliers, to people in our community, the values that make Royal Containers who we are. And one of the important things about customers who value sustainability, they also value social responsibility. And we sometimes think, how do we show our social responsibility? We use social media to do that. So we're constantly blogging about the things that we do. I'm an athlete. I find it very important that we support athletes in our community. So we're supporting events and specific athletes all the time. So we use social media to share with to share with customers in particular what we're doing in that area. We also use, social media to share what our leaders are doing. And as the owner of the company, one of the most important roles I play is the development of leaders among our employees. So we'll share this. On the other side of leadership, we want to show that Royal Containers is a leader in the industry. One of the things that we like to talk about is that back in 1994, we went 100% online. Not to say that we don't have salespeople, because we have 24 salespeople on the road, face-to-face. But since 1994, our customers will log online in real time. They will do their own estimating, their own placing of orders, tracking. They'll get key statistics, their invoicing. All of these things are available to our customers. So we find that is one way we show that we lead our industry, in particular in the Ontario Canadian marketplace. And lastly, of the values that we try to communicate is performance. Of course, we have to perform on time delivery, quality. These things are constantly, valued by our customers. And just the last thing that I would share on that is our commitment to continuous improvement. So this year, instead of investing in capital such as equipment, we've invested nearly $1 million on our continuous improvement plan. And it has completely transformed our plant, every inch of it, every inch of the floors, the walls, the ceiling, all of our machine centers are being transformed to absolutely maximize our efficiency. It's kind of taking that lean manufacturing that we talked about for a long time, since the 90s, and taking it to another level. We'll also be the first in Canada to have like a fully functioning OBEA room, which is just a term used for in continuous improvement programs. So what are some marketing trends that we're experiencing? I read in the newspaper today, front page of the newspaper here, that there was a little bit talking about how the legalization of medical marijuana here is just a recent phenomena. Of course, I don't know if you know this, but all of Canada has legalized marijuana, medical and recreational. And just, we won't talk about how we feel about that. However, I'd like to point out that it has had a huge impact on our company in terms of packaging, because it's a brand new product industry that didn't exist before. If you can imagine the amount of packaging required to start moving this product around, it's really incredible. Right now, our government controls how it is distributed, and right now it's only available online. However, that's changing. There'll be retail stores. We have, for example, one customer who has a very big contract with the government, and in terms of how it's growing, this customer has doubled their sales, infrastructure, and production every 6 months. It's doubling. It will be a more than $1 billion industry in Canada, and what I hear is a lot of packaging. It's going to have a tremendous impact on our market. Another area, of course, for us is, and the rest of the world, I see this in all of the pie charts, food and beverage industry is also a key one that continues to grow. And I'll tie this in here. Canada's also making marijuana-induced beer. Something else that this impacts is the double-sided print. Because a lot of the packaging we want to ship, for example, marijuana in a craft, no print on the outside box. But you open it up and there's the print. So two-sided print is growing just as much, as when we talk about digital, but inside-outside print is also having a huge incline. On the digital print side, I would actually just echo what I've heard already this morning, even from the panel. It's very, very similar in Canada. It's similar in the US. It's kind of the walk before you run method of print. And while we still have a lot of flexo printing going on, a lot of the players who are already in the marketing display, this is really ramping up. So Royal Containers, what do? Because we like to strategically partner. These are some pictures of a partner who we have in our market. So we're out there selling it. I'm not going to invest in the printer, the equipment, but I have invested in the partnership. And I'm sure that a lot of us will have to do this simply because of the cost prohibitiveness that it provides. One interesting thing, though, I think if I were to start a brand new converting company tomorrow, I think I would buy a digital printer before I bought any flexo printer. I think that would be the way to start. So, now flipping over to AICC side, I do represent them as the overseas director. So just to share with you some of the key statistics of our membership. So our membership, we are, we would say independently owned corrugated companies. Independently meaning we're sole proprietorships or privately held companies versus publicly held corporations, companies that are much larger. Typically, as well, our roots started with, none of our members, we would not have had any ownership in paper mills. That's changing, which is a trend. However, when we look at our membership, the majority would not have partnerships with paper mills. So in terms of, these are some US numbers, but our industry is a $35 billion industry, that's US. So we'll add $5 billion for Canada, making it a $40 billion industry. In terms of production, we haven't converted this to square meters, but square feet, we take that up to about 450 billion square feet if we add Canadian numbers in there. And this is as of the end of 2018. In terms of the number of plants, integrated independent, you see the number there. Again, we would define integrated just simply as a converting operation that does have a corrugator versus in this definition here, an independent that doesn't have a corrugator that they're buying their sheets. 70,000 employees. Now this number seems low, and that's simply because it excludes any converting operation that does have some attachment to a paper mill. Consolidation has continued for, tens of years now. It continues. We continue to consolidate. And our members are, of course, innovative, creative, sustainable, and all of these creating opportunities for strategic partnerships. So the graph here is now just showing that the value of shipments, pretty straight trend upward in terms of dollars, and then a more cyclical graph to show how our volume, even though our dollars are going up, the volume is more cyclical. And all the while, the number of plants producing that is shrinking. This is a declining trend that we do not see turning around. The top line is sheet plants, the bottom line are corrugator plants. So we do that because our membership, we track that very separately. So this is one of the containerboard market here in North America. We like this graph because it's it's a pretty compelling story. Now, I know it's over 25 years, but the compelling story is that today, in North America, we're operating where the top 5 producers of containerboard control 78% of our market. That has a big impact on us. Those initials there, 31%, that's International Paper. West Rock, 23%. Georgia Pacific is 10%. Packaging Corp of America, 10%, and Pratt at 4%. And the rest, 22%. Shown here in this pie graph is just kind of shows who the others are. And as a proud Canadian, there's 4 Canadian companies in there, so I point that out. Not to read this is just some of the acquisitions that are happening every single month in North America. There's at least 3 or 4 acquisitions, so it's not a trend that's going away. With respect, though, to our association AICC, to note in the last 5 years, and this may happen, as well here, 50 of our members are gone because of acquisition in the last 5 years. So it has an impact on associations as well. So this chart here is an interesting one of our membership. So our membership represents a little bit more than half of the total market in North America. Of our members, their average sales are $22.5 million. And the positive thing is, it seems a little out of order here, but the positive thing is that's grown. So our average member is growing every year in terms of sales and size. And of course, we like to think that that's because AICC, the association, has had an impact on their business, which Joe will talk about as well. So, of course, in preparation for this, we wanted to find out among our members, what is your print type? So we asked our members what types of print they're supplying their customers, and this is where you can see that, of the membership, 92% do provide flexographic print, and 18.5% do provide digital print. So, and of course, this is now benchmarked, and we will see this trend grow quite significantly. Okay. In terms of the markets that our customers are serving, again, you'll see here, and this is what is very similar to the UK. Food and beverage, again, is outside of the everything else is miscellaneous, but the food and beverage is one of the major markets in North America that our members serve. So in conclusion, a few things there. Containerboard market in North America is strong and disciplined. We are expected to grow in 2019 about 1.8%. That's the growth. Consolidation, of course, has reduced the number of plants. However, our production has increased due to efficiency, speed, and automation. And why is consolidation good for us members? Of course, it reduces a fragmented market. It allows us to grow our capabilities. It allows us to grow our geographic reach, and creates more opportunities for vertical integration, which, as I showed, is what has led and helped Royal Container's success. It also provides a stronger continuation of supply, and it helps profitability. In terms of print, we still see that it is dominated by flexo, and I did hear again from the panel that flexo is never going away. It's just how are we growing this other part of our market. We believe that, litho-label market will most likely be the market substituted with digital. And of course, we talked about automation continues. Digital is going to require a lot of capital investment. And we already talked about what markets are growing. And I think I will turn it over to Joe, but there may be at the end, if there's any question and answers. I'll even answer them about marijuana, too.
Thank you, Kim. All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Palmeri. I'm president, Corrugated Packaging, Jamestown Container Companies, and privileged to serve as AICC's chairman right now. I took over fall of last year, and we'll turn the reins over in fall of this year in Toronto. So when I took over last fall, I talked about how investing and engaging in AICC or investing and engaging in your industry associations can make independence more successful. So what I want to do is kind of just run through some slides, give you a little background on who we are, how we've grown, and how our relationships within these industry associations has really laid a path for our future. All right, so Jamestown Container, we started in 1956 by Glenn Janowski with 5 employees. That is Glenn sitting in that picture right there. That's the local paper from March 27th, 1956. One of those 5 employees was my father, who is still running and working today. So today we've grown to first and second generation ownership, and we're approaching about 600 employees. Just some early pictures. The upper left there, yeah, your left, would be Glenn. On the left, far left side is my father, probably from the early 1960s for them. So you just see, just through the years, you fast forward to today, certainly upgraded some equipment, but some things we still have that you saw in the black and white pictures, but they don't owe us any money, and it doesn't hurt to keep running them when you need to. All right, markets we serve. As a company, we are running the Great Lakes, so from Lake Erie up through Lake Ontario. So we're going Cleveland up through upstate New York. So we have 6 facilities, 3 sheet plants. They're doing about 1 billion square feet a year, which is, I think, 93 million square meters. A specialty plant located in Buffalo, New York, does contract packaging and packaging supplies. We've got a foam fabricating location in Lyons, New York, which is east of Rochester, and a sheet feeder in North Tonawanda, New York. They do, it's 110-inch corrugator, doing about 2.5 billion square feet, or I think it's 237 million square meters annually. All right, so why invest and engage? Like I said earlier, our growth is directly tied to our involvement in the AICC, and I'll also say FBA, the Fiber Box Association. Okay, we, and my father was one of 53 companies present in the fall of 1974 in St. Louis when AICC got formed. So one of the founding member companies. We've also been members of Fiber Box. July 1969 we joined. Okay, those memberships have really shaped our future and a path as a company. Okay, so by investing and engaging in the relationships we've formed in those organizations, it's allowed us to grow through acquisition. We've done 11 to date. So that's 8 sheet plants and 3 integrated plants we've purchased over the years. So we bought an old PCA, Packaging Corporate America plant, bought it, and some of the names you'll remember. Gaylord Container plant we purchased, and we also purchased a Willamette Industries facility, which is how I ended up in Cleveland, because I was the only guy young enough to move. So. And it's allowed us to make significant strategic investments to really shape our company, and I want to talk about those now. So we got 4 to look at. 1994, we did the Solvay containerboard mill. 2006, we did Graphcore, which is a litho laminating and converting operation. 2008 is Niagara Sheets, is a sheet feeder, and 2013, that Kim mentioned earlier, is the Greenpack containerboard mill. So 1994, Solvay paperboard. Original partners were Jamestown Container, and some of these names you may remember, Schiffenhaus Packaging and Southern Container. In 1987, the Tencor Group, with Kim and the other companies joined, was 100% recycled linerboard and media mill, 100% post-consumer waste, grew to 3 paper machines. Okay, so we were in that partnership from 1994 to 2008. We ended up selling our interest when Southern Container was purchased by WestRock in 2008. And ultimately now WestRock, as you know, got purchased, or Rock 10 got purchased by WestRock. So they are the current owners. Graphcore is a litho, laminating, and converting plant in Dayton, New Jersey. Originally opened in 2001, we entered into a partnership in 2006 with Disc Graphics and Southern Container. It's a way for us to pretty much traditionally brown box plants. It allowed us to get into some more graphics, some things that we didn't have the capability of doing. That was purchased also in 2008 by Rock 10 when they purchased Southern Container. So the partners included Disc, Jamestown Container, and WestRock, and it used to strengthen our graphics. Up until just October of this past year, we were in that when WestRock decided to roll all the business into their own existing facilities. So it was a good run. Niagara Sheets in 2008. It was a sheet feeder located in North Tonawanda, which is just north of Buffalo. 110-inch BHS corrugator. Original partners, Jamestown Container, Rampak, and Smurfit Stone. I think what you're seeing in a lot of these, I think we're probably one of the first independents that really decided to partner, form alliances with integrateds. And all in this industry, it's a weird relationship where you've got a sheet feeder with the guys you're competing with on the box side and some of the other things we do, but it works. And the one thing that was a little unique about Niagara is that we are the majority owner and the operating partner. It's something particularly my father insisted on. If you go back at that time, between Smurfit and Rampak, they probably had 75 corrugators. Okay, this would give us one, so it was important that we controlled it, which we still do. Just picture Niagara. All right, today you fast forward 10 years, almost 11 years now, the current partners are Buckeye Corrugated Inc., Cascades, which was the parent company of Rampak, Jamestown Container, in WestRock because of different acquisitions of Rock 10 and everything, so WestRock's in there. We're still the majority owner and the operating partner, and I said it's doing about 2.5 billion square feet a year. Last is the Greenpack Mill. Kim touched on it earlier. Construction began in June 2011 in Niagara Falls. Opened up in August 2013. At the time, and it still may be, the largest 100% recycled mill in North America. It's a 328-inch machine doing 540,000 tons of paper a year. The original partners were Cascades, Containerboard Partners, which was made up of Coil Corrugated, Pierce Wellwood, and Royal Containers, and us, Jamestown Container. You look today, it's made up of Cascades, Jamestown Container, and Royal. Just some pictures of Greenpack. Just wrapping this up, I'm just getting to investing and engaging. It's allowed us to significantly grow our company. And I think the message is no matter what size you start at, if you invest and engage in the associations you belong with, in our case AICC, it can shape your future and it can really give you a path to sustained long-term growth. So I thank you.
Thank you, Chair.